He's not the Trump of 2016.
No.
We have a leader. He is now on offense.
Let them talk and they go ahead and reveal who they are. They think they're winning allies.
He highlighted the extremism of Democratic policies while championing the people victimized by them. He basically dared Democrats to oppose issues with broad public appeal. Stand up if you're for this. What better way to draw a line in the sand and double dog dare you to step up to the plate? The fringe voters that make up their fragile coalition would not allow them to cross it or even step up to the line. They were in the spotlight. Stand if you agree that the first job of government is to protect the American citizens and not foreign citizens. He put them in a box. Basically, he double dog dared them and they couldn't stand up and do anything.
And hard to play both sides when you're being watched.
Welcome, everyone, to the Patriot Project on Mugwump Media. Thanks for joining us again today, folks. Kevin, this is Wednesday. This is February 25th. You guys know we always have to, we can't get it uploaded by Saturday or Sunday very easily, so we generally have to do it on Wednesday or Thursday.
Must be our amazing internet service.
We don't have good internet service,
No.
but we get it done. Now, since it's February 25th, Wednesday, you know what that means. Last night was the State of the Union address. Now, I know by the time this comes out, you all will probably be sick of hearing about it. But I tell you, I was transfixed last night. Kevin and I just sat there. We actually had to attend another meeting, which we may have to talk about that meeting here before too long. There was a lot to talk about today. But we were at this meeting, and we didn't get home till it was already underway. And the minute I sat down, I couldn't get up until I watched the goings-on the floor. It was a circus. But we had a couple of insights into that we wanted to share with you that you might not hear from others. Now, I caught a little bit of Glenn Beck's show this morning. Kevin, do you have anything to add about what I just said? It was a circus.
Well, you know what? I've seen hockey games that were a lot more civilized and polite than what we saw last night. It brought me back to the first time I ever really noticed anything that out of line, but when Nancy Pelosi took and ripped Trump's speech up in front of the whole nation, in front of the whole world, just that disrespect and that lack of a willingness to cooperate. A line was established.
Decorum. They all go on about decorum. Man.
Yeah,
wow.
They've got their own opinions, and it's getting to the point. I'm not sure where you can meet. You can't meet in the middle with someone that
acts that way.
It's just childish. It's 2- and 3-year-old behavior, but it's not.
And it's one-sided.
It is. It's
absolutely.
I'm just going to call it. There's a root of evil in it.
Yeah.
Just an absolute root of evil.
Very true. A very violent
very
spirit.
Very disturbing. Yep.
Very violent spirit. Now, like I started to tell you guys, I caught a little bit of Glenn Beck's show this morning, and his morning after analysis was really good. I don't know if you guys listened to it on Wednesday, but he actually said he thought it was one of Trump's best speeches ever. So, and you know, Kevin and I, we don't really like to listen to Trump's speeches. We like to watch what he does. Trump is amazing. You know, whether it's legislation or an executive order, if Trump says it, by jinkies, he tries to pull it off, and he usually does one way or another. That's what's amazing about him.
I like watching what he does. I like hearing what he says, too. I don't dislike his speeches, but I do like them kind of chopped down just a little. I like the highlights. I love his commentary. I just...
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not huge on watching his speeches, but I love what he does, and he's
watch
true.
What he does.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You watch what he does for sure. He thought that Trump stayed on point really well. He stayed on the teleprompter. He didn't wander off as much as he usually does, and he's funny too. Some of the stuff he says really is funny. He didn't really wander off that way.
Yep.
The thing that Glenn said that I thought was really good, he said, you know, this really wasn't a speech. It was contrast.
Yes.
And boy, is that the truth. you could very clearly see what was going on. Now, we noticed we were actually watching it from a Fox affiliate, and they didn't have a lot of the stuff that was going on the floor until we tuned into something else later, the replay. Mm-hmm. And man, it was crazy. It was like our country, America, looking into a mirror at what we've become, Kevin. Not all of us, though. They would have us believe, like at the meeting last night, they want you to believe that you're the minority and they're the majority. That's not the case. There's a lot fewer of them that are actually crazy than us. And that would include a lot of the people that are independent, and even I'm just going to say this, even some Democrats who don't necessarily pay attention and are just now starting to look around and say, hey, what's my party doing? So I really think there's not nearly as many of them as they think there are. There are just a lot of people that are not necessarily aware.
Well, kind of like your Democrat attire you're taking on now. Obviously, you've become a fan of someone with that hoodie.
With the hoodie.
Uh-huh.
No. Although Fetterman is an interesting guy. I do kind of like the independent stance he's taking. The reason I'm wearing the hoodies now, folks, is because it's freezing down here. I would be blue. My lips would be blue if I didn't have it on. So
I don't know that they'd be blue. I think you're just a fan of Mr. Fetterman there.
Of Mr. Fetterman,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, I kind of like the fact that he's supporting it. Again, I think a lot of them just
You
don't
can have a
know.
conversation with him, and I
Yeah.
didn't see him last night. I don't know what
No.
his statement was on what happened, but
It'd be interesting.
it'd be interesting.
I didn't listen to the commentary very much either because I was working on the podcast. Anyway, I don't think that I've ever seen anything as rude and hateful and as telling of where we're at as a country, unfortunately. Like I said, I don't think they're as big as they think they are. But it's telling of where we're at culturally. Of
Our
what
local
was
meeting last night, just a small local public meeting that was, there's conflict between the conservatives and the liberals and
Yes.
the Christians and the whatever you want to classify yourself as. I don't know, but anyway, they make a lot of noise. They call us names a lot, and there's no conversation you can have with them. They just don't. They're not willing to listen, and it's that same spirit. It is a spirit of I'm just going to have to say evil again. It's just there's a lot of bad influence there because there's no working with someone when they hit that point there. What do you do?
very worldly, very much the spirit of just man in control, thinking they're in control. We may have to talk about that in the next couple of weeks too, because that's crazy. I agree. What the meeting that we were at, we'll have to share that with you. Anyway, hateful stuff displayed on the floor last night in the House, and a few years ago, in what now feels like a different universe, Kevin, a different world, everyone talked about decorum, like we just said during the meetings. I remember vividly, and I bet you do too, Kevin, during the State of the Union address in 2009, it was Barack Obama's first term. He had just gotten in. And it was during the debate over Obamacare. And I bet folks that are a little older and were paying attention at that time, I bet you remember too, Obama said in his speech that everyone needed to support Obamacare, of course, which we now know because it's blown out our whole medical system and everybody is paying through the nose unless you're just dirt poor and don't have anything and get Medicaid.
The Affordable Care Act.
Oh, proved to not be affordable for sure.
Romney Care.
Would have been
It
the
had
same.
several
That's
names.
true.
Yep.
But anyway, he said, you got to support Obamacare, that it would never be used to pay for health care for illegal aliens. Now, we now know that was a bald-faced lie because over the last few years, all these people that were being brought in, that's the first thing they were doing was putting them on Medicaid and getting them in health care services is exactly what. The rest of us couldn't afford it, but that's what they were doing with the illegals. When Obama made that statement, Representative Joe Wilson from South Carolina yelled, "You lie!" during the speech. You remember that, Kevin?
Yep.
Now, he was the only one that said anything, but he was reprimanded. As a matter of fact, formally reprimanded by the House of Representatives. Now, the Democrats led it up, but there were even some of his own party that jumped on board. John McCain was one of them, of course. Mr. Obamacare himself.
The infamous.
That's right. If you all remember that, he was the one, they were going to try to fix it and do away with it, and he basically stopped it. The one guy. But yeah, they were demanding an apology too. And you know what? Joe Wilson apologized to Obama, and supposedly he accepted it. Now, let me tell you, things have changed since 2009. Now, on the floor of the House, if you didn't see it, many of the House Democrats simply didn't attend, of course, which it would have probably been a lot worse if they had all attended. Now, the ones that were there were carrying signs, wearing pins, and Kevin, they weren't just pins. They were nasty pins. They were very vulgar. One pin in particular that said, F blank, blank, blank ice. You fill in the blanks. Now, why would you wear that if you were a representative or a senator out in public representing your people? They were screaming insults, shouts of, "You kill Americans," from the floor. Al Green. Kevin, you remember that old guy with the cane?
Well, at least he didn't get up and start whacking somebody in the head with it. At least he was that civil. I guess that's a positive side.
Well, he's pretty old. I don't know that he had the strength
And he
to
might
do
fall
it.
if he started swinging.
There's a reason he has a
Yeah.
cane. But yeah, they had to throw him out, just like they did the last time that he did this. Now, when Trump presented a very young lady who was a teen detransitioning victim, and I don't know how old she was. She looked like she might be in her very early 20s, but apparently this, and I didn't see this part. This was when we were still at the meeting, but I saw it later on social media, and apparently this lady was classic. When she was a teenager, it showed a picture of her. Apparently somebody in her school hid the fact from her parents what was going on, and they assisted her in transitioning. She ended up going through a counselor. She ended up, I guess, getting involved in the child transgender medical industry, the whole 9 yards, it sounds like. And later on, this young lady realized, hey, this isn't what I want. And she then became a detransitioner, as so many of them, the young ones, are right now.
Yep.
Thank God. And while this was going on, do you know what someone in the gallery shouted? Pedophile! Folks, there is no evidence of that. And there was no reason for that. And you know, the good thing for Trump that Trump did is he didn't dignify it with an answer. Now, I'm just going to say this is shocking behavior, even for 2026.
They used to call something like that slander, and it was
it
was not accepted. It's just so childish.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the things that became very clear during this State of the Union speech, this is good, Kevin, is that the Trump from 2016, he was always on the defensive, remember?
Yep.
He never had the upper hand. Even though he did good, they beat him, and he didn't get back in the next time. They cheated because he was always left back on his heels on the defensive. Well, guess what? The Trump that was on full display in glorious full color last night, let's just say he's not the Trump of 2016. No. He's learned.
We have a leader. We have
a leader. He is now on offense, full on. And I was very glad to say that, or to see that. One way to look at it, too, I liked, if you guys have ever read the Daily Signal, this is a gentleman named Tyler O'Neill. He's very reputable. He actually testified before Congress, Kevin. Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal this morning summarized it in this way. The strategy that Trump used highlighted the extremism of Democratic politics.
Exposure. That's kind of like our public meetings, you know. If you just let them talk, they pretty well
they show the
they
difference.
Demonstrate who they are.
They show how crazy they are.
When new people come and they become a part, and you just let them talk, and they go ahead and reveal who they are and how they act.
Yeah.
And they think they're winning allies, but I'm thinking it's
not
working so good for them.
No. He, like I said, he highlighted the extremism of Democratic policies while championing the people victimized by them, like that young lady.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And of course, somebody had to yell pedophile. Mm-hmm. Of course they did. It's the demon in them. And of course, that was graphically illustrated by some of his guests in the gallery. And Trump's populism was on full glorious display, according to O'Neill. He basically dared, I love this, this is great. He basically dared Democrats to oppose issues with broad public appeal. Mm-hmm. He said, okay, everybody, I want you to stand up if you're against this, or stand up if you're for this. Mm-hmm. What better way to draw a line in the sand and double dog dare you to step up to the plate? I loved it. Like I said, he drew a line in the proverbial sand, and Democrats knew that the fringe voters that make up their fragile coalition would not allow them to cross it or even step up to the line. Mm-hmm. They were in the spotlight. You remember what he said? It was made glaringly apparent during the most defining moment of the night when Trump issued this challenge to everyone in the gallery. Stand if you agree that the first job of government is to protect the American citizens and not foreign citizens.
Civics 101.
They couldn't even raise their eyes. I remember looking at them. It was shocking. Mm-hmm. And they all just sat there on their hands like crickets going on around them and basically just looked down. And they knew that because they were being watched by the world, their crazy people were watching them. And if they had stood up or clapped their hands, can you imagine the excoriation that they would have taken from the extreme liberals on the left? He put them in a box. Basically, he double dog dared them, and they couldn't stand up and do anything because they would have been excoriated by their crazy fringe people.
Kind of hard to play both sides when you're being watched.
When you're being watched. Let me tell you, folks, that soundbite and that visual is going to be played out and shown over and over and over, both in people's minds and on social media in the next few months leading up to the midterms. I think that this was good. This was a winner. And there's going to be other things that are going to happen over the next few months. There's going to be some good stuff. There really is.
I'm thinking this is part of the golden age that we've been talking about.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, and the economy's going to pick up.
Yep.
I really was glad to see this. And I don't know if you guys, I don't know whether you tuned in for the whole thing or not, but go play it back and watch it if you haven't, because it was good. It definitely was. Now, a couple of things locally that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Things are rolling along in the Missouri legislative session, both in the House and in the Senate. Now, you remember we talked about the geoengineering and the what Kevin and I talked about. I can't remember the name of the video. What falls from the sky doesn't disappear, something like that. It did really well. We had a lot of hits on it. A lot of people shared, but it basically dealt with the cloud seeding and geoengineering. People flying over, dumping crazy stuff in the clouds, which they're doing. So many people are like, wow, that must be just conspiracy theory. But it actually isn't. The EPA has admitted to it. So anyway, this is to put guardrails up. SB 860, as of yesterday and Monday, this is Wednesday, the 25th, and it was being talked about in the committee. I have not heard whether or not it's going to be sent to the floor. Keep on praying, folks, that it gets sent to the floor, because guardrails for this is good, for sure. We don't want that garbage in our water and in our backyards. We don't like that. We're also hoping to visit with Representative Burt Whaley soon. He had approached me, him and Leah, and we're hoping we're going to get to visit with him about some stuff going on in the House. Let's see, Miss Lisa Durnell. And both of them had talked a little bit about a bill, and I don't know a whole lot about it. It's those video lottery terminals, VLT. It's basically gaming, and which Kevin and I just almost instinctively we don't like.
Nothing like going to a gas station, trying to pay for your gas and having to wait in line behind somebody scratching tickets for a half hour. Plus, wasn't that going to save our schools and there wasn't ever going to be any financial problems when they first passed the lottery?
Oh, and it never did. It never did. It just caused more. It causes crime is what it does.
Anytime you hear somebody say it's for the kids, red alert.
Yeah. HB 2989, Missouri Lottery Regulatory Act. And you know what? We'll get Bert's take on it for sure, and then we'll get probably Lisa's. She's supposed to come and visit with us. I'm anxious to visit with her. She's a sweetie, her and her sweet husband, and we'll see what they have to say about it. But the proponents from the very beginning argued that it would distinguish legal gaming from illegal activity and generate tax revenue for education. Of course, that's what it's always said for the last 30 or 40 years, while opponents believe it rewards previously illegal operations and just causes more illegal stuff. So I guess we'll see.
We'll get the facts.
We'll get some facts. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to both of them. Now, a couple of things I want to tell you, too, before we get off the air tonight. You folks who have been following us for a while heard last spring, this one just fries me. When Kevin came in a little while, I had just finished and I was still in the mindset, and I just get so aggravated at Kehoe. Spendthrift Kehoe. This guy is a big spender, our governor that was put in last year. The bill in Missouri, SB 4, that was pushed by Kehoe at that time, this bill allows for the building and infrastructure of power plants. Now, specifically natural gas and possibly nuclear is what was the explanation, to be paid for by Missouri citizens through a policy known as construction work in progress before they become operational. In other words, folks, we pay to have them made. We pay basically to have them built. Now, this goes against legislation from 1976. Let me tell you, Kevin, the 70s and 80s were a much more conservative Missouri government than we have now, even though we have a supermajority. But they're not so conservative.
Yeah.
There are some in there that are.
Yes.
Specifically people like Lisa and Bert.
We've got good reps. We've got good senators.
A lot of them are right. Yeah. They're not very conservative. But anyway, this in 1976, it was a voter-approved ban on charging customers for construction work in progress. Kevin, that makes absolute sense to me. Why would these big companies need us to pay for their building? Mm-hmm. So, as this was passed, of course, through our supermajority, there were debates and the initial concerns persisted into 2026, but Governor Mike Kehoe signed this comprehensive utility omnibus bill, huge, probably this big, on April 9th, 2025. So we now get to, after all these years, they overturned it, and we get to pay for it all. And if anybody has not checked out in Missouri, if you've not checked out your latest bills, our bill a couple of months ago raised by $100, and we're not alone. There are a lot of people on Liberty, and
they got a bigger increase. Yep.
Huge increases. Mm-hmm. And not only that, last spring, whenever they had, I remember, and I don't know that I got to do it. I actually printed it up, and I was going to do it, and I think we ended up just not having time to. But in St. Louis, when the tornadoes went through last spring, there were so many people that had extra costs because of all the damage. Literally, there was so much increase in their Amaron, I think was the company, in their utility bills. They literally could not afford to pay their utility bills and were in danger of losing their homes. This is shocking, and this is not conservative. I'm just going to say.
It's not America.
No. Anyway, so this is going on in Missouri. This 1976 voter-approved ban was overturned, and now we're paying a lot more. Okay, here is a light of hope down the road. I don't know if this applies to us or not. I'd have to read some more about it. This was from the White House Wire. Remember the politically incorrect newsletter from Trump? This was one of the things. Trump unveiled, and I guess it may be an executive order he's planning, I'm not sure. Trump unveiled a ratepayer protection pledge. to ensure residential customers didn't pay for capital improvement costs that their electric utilities will incur to expand electricity grids to accommodate surging demand largely generated by data centers for artificial intelligence development. And I'm telling you, folks, I'm not sure what it says in Kehoe's bill, SB4, but I really think that that's a big part of the reason that we're ending up having to pay for this is because of these data centers. And I see whenever I go on Act for Missouri and Shield Maidens, there's a lot of chatter and talk about the data centers, and people are trying to keep them out because they are electricity hogs, and we don't want to have to pay for them. So I'll keep my eye on this, and we may actually have some something coming from Trump. Maybe it's an executive order. I don't know. But there may be something coming from Trump that could help us. Who knows? But it would go against our supposedly supermajority in our Republican, he doesn't act like one, Kehoe, governor. Now here's from Jeremy Burns, Christian County Assessor, January 29th. Now, remember, and Jeremy's a nice guy. Hi, Jeremy, if you watch this show. I don't know if you do or not, but anyway, he is our assessor, and this was actually on, I think it was Lisa Durnell's Facebook, and somebody said, what about this, Lisa? I don't know if you guys watched a couple of weeks ago. One of the things we talked about was the income tax. They're trying to eliminate income tax from Missouri's citizens.
That sounds wonderful. Well, of course it does.
It's because we're old and we've been around for a while that we read between the lines, and we're just a little bit cynical, folks.
Too good to be true?
Probably isn't.
Oh, yeah.
Mel Hancock back in the 80s. Again, a much more conservative Missouri than we have now. Mel Hancock actually put in place, he was the one who started it and got it done, apparently, along with the legislature and the governor. But they literally have an amendment, the Hancock Amendment, that is still active today. And basically, it does not allow the legislature to raise the income tax. It can only be raised to a certain level. You can't go past a certain percentage of what people are making. It's wonderful. It has saved us and helped us in Missouri. So how do you get around the income tax? Well, guess what? Sales tax is not affected by the Hancock Amendment, folks, which means there's no guardrails on sales tax. So what's going on is basically they are trying to increase sales tax, saying, oh, yeah, you're going to be so much better off. Okay, here's what Jeremy Burns, our friendly local Christian County assessor, said. Nice young man. This was January 29th. He said, good morning, friends and family. It is my understanding that our Missouri legislators are going to put eliminating Missouri's income tax on the ballot to vote for this year. We get to vote for this, Kevin. I have heard and read that it will add 8.5% to the state's sales tax that is already 4.225%. So, almost 13% state sales tax, and then you're approximately 5% local, county, and city tax. And you're looking at around 18% more or less sales tax. But that's not all, Kevin, in this wonderful package. Also included in the bill is adding this sales tax to not only goods, but many services that have never had a sales tax before. That means haircuts and oil changes and things like that. They would get to have all this tax put on it too, Kevin. Folks, this makes me mad. I think that they're trying to hornswoggle us. What do you think, Kevin?
I think 2% was enough to have a revolution over, and I think this is beyond anything rational. 18% sales tax potential. If that's all they think the potential is, then of course it's going to be more. That would just be the sales tax when you buy the stuff that you need.
Services.
And services. So that'd be on labor. That'd be on.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. It's, well, just kind of like MoDOT. they went and they figured out a way they could never pass that bill to get the funding they wanted for what they were doing. So they come up with this idea, well, it won't be a tax. We'll just call it a lottery. Mm-hmm. We don't have to pay it. All you got to do is save all your receipts through the year, and you can go ahead and turn that in, and you can get refunded because it was a lottery. Mm-hmm. You can get your money back. So they didn't really increase the tax. But when time you pay a bookkeeper and do everything it takes to do it, it's just robbing us. And
do you know who was in on that?
Mm-hmm.
Who was in the Senate at that time? Spendthrift Kehoe, our governor.
Conniving ways to figure out how to increase our taxes without increasing our taxes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this is what's been going on over the last year.
They don't need more money. They need to manage. Yeah. They need to budget. They need to start working on, that's a whole topic for another time.
For sure. And, here's the thing. Jeremy he was passing it on. He's a numbers guy. He said, this is not a post for or against the bill. This is a post to let you all know about this bill, to see if it's going to be good for you and your family, or if it's going to be a tax increase.
If it's for the kids and if it's going to eliminate taxes, So
this will be, sounds like it's going to be on the ballot for us to vote on. And I tell you, folks, we'll watch it. And you're going to hear us banging the drum once we get a little bit closer, but it does not sound good to me. So, but at least they're not just passing it. At least it's something that we can vote on and hopefully get the truth out there. Anyway, well, folks, thanks for joining the conversation again today. Did you have any more comments, Kevin, on that?
You know what? You got my blood pressure went up a little bit.
Well, again, the good news is both of those are good because we have the opportunity to vote. We just tell your neighbors. Seriously, tell people about this stuff. It's good to learn it. And as for the other, the electric stuff that we're having to pay so much on, you know what? Trump may actually have something going in that's going to help us on that. So it's not necessarily bad. It's good in the long run for us to know this stuff. Well, folks, thanks for joining the conversation again today. And, we always hope that we always want to shed light for you guys. I guess I would say it that way. We want to make sure, we always try to make sure that whatever we tell you is up-to-date truth, food for thought, and hopefully some inspiration along the way. And it's so good to be informed, especially when you can be surrounded by friends who care. And we do. The reason we're doing this is not because we make any money from it, obviously. We work a lot. We do it because we feel like God wants us to talk to people, our friends and neighbors, and this is the best way to talk to a lot of them. Mm-hmm. So pass the news along and let people know. Now, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And when we come back again next week, folks, we're going to come with more news, more conversation. Maybe we'll talk about the meeting. I think we should. There's a lot we need to talk about. And hopefully we're going to give you more encouragement. And we're going to try always to keep you informed, inspired, and folks, always stay independent. God bless.